Welcome to Silver Bar Stacker, folks. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying their Sunday. That's right, folks. Today is Sunday, and we've got an exciting one for you today, folks. Now, as you can see here, we've got not quite a full stack, but we've got a large selection of some of the Liberty-themed bars and rounds that we've kind of amassed over the years, and I'm super excited to kind of get deep into these boxes and kind of show you the different varying types of Liberty-themed pieces that there are out there. But before we get into this, we've got to talk about a couple of the things that have kind of been on my mind. You know, as we've kind of been buying and selling over the past week, there have been a few things on my mind, both as a seller as well as a buyer. And so I wanted to kind of cover a couple of those things. Some of those things were related to, you know, the MTB Liberty pieces, and some of them not so much. Now, I was sitting there this morning rewatching Savage Stacker's video, and he was sort of talking about how as spot price kind of goes up, you may want to change your stacking strategy. And I made a comment where I kind of said that, you know, I generally, with the type of stuff that I buy, generally am not even kind of focused on spot price. And I kind of didn't explain myself when I had said that, but kind of the reason for that is because I'm generally more into kind of collectible stuff rather than generic stuff. And so my reasoning was that when you're focused on generics, spot price is very important, because the price of generic bullion is very much tied to the spot price. And so the best opportunity, in my opinion, to buy generics is when the price of silver is low, because that's the time when you're going to get the best deal on the generics, because the spot price is tied to the generic price. They're very, very close to each other. Now, when you start getting into more collectible stuff, you may very rarely have an opportunity to buy certain pieces at spot price, and sometimes you may almost never have an opportunity to do so, because sometimes the way that those items are sold, you know, they might be sold through specialty retailers like such as myself. Like SBS is we specialize in certain vintage collectibles, and so you'll always be able to go to the store and be able to buy such a product. Whereas other times, certain products that are super rare, you'll never be able to find them on the SBS website. You might never be able to find them anywhere, or they might very rarely pop up for sale. And so, you know, the market value for that, since those are usually sold on like open-ended auctions, like it comes down to what people are willing to pay for it. So certain collectibles, you know, when you do your research on collectibles, which you should be doing before you buy anything, you'll find that, you know, not all bar is necessarily created equal. You know, this 20-gram pure silver Liberty bar, while very, very cool, it may not fetch the same sort of premium as this. You know, maybe you might get a better deal on this. Maybe you might get a better deal on this when it comes down to the price per ounce. You know, I've not really ever seen one of these, but that doesn't make it super rare. It doesn't make it something that somebody's going to pay like $20,000 for just because nobody's ever seen it. It's a super cool Monarch Precious Metals, just kind of a generic piece, but probably kind of like an older piece that they don't make anymore. So I just find it cool, but it's not going to fetch a huge premium probably on the open market. Whereas this bar right here, for example, this bar may fetch a premium, because if you look on the back, you've got an E right there. So then this denotes that this is an Engelhard, and Engelhard, as we all know, is a very reputable refiner, right? Now over here, you've got a Johnson Matthey. So this is also a pretty reputable refiner. Now, I don't know, is your Johnson Matthey bar going to fetch the higher premium, or is the Engelhard Liberty bar going to fetch the higher premium? That's something that you don't know. Well, you do know if you do your research, but you don't know if you just kind of look at them, because on face value, they kind of look the same. Certain stores, for example, might treat these the same. You know, you go to Money Metals, for example. I know how Money Metals operates. They've been very upfront with me about how they operate. When I went and bought a few monster boxes of prospectors for them, they said that they treat most things like generics. Now, this was a while back. I don't know if they've maybe changed their mindset on that, but before, they operated on the mindset that, you know, we treat bullion as bullion, and we're not really into the collectible stuff. We're not into the numismatic stuff, and so we don't value the numismatic stuff like other people may. So certain stores will operate that way. Other stores may say that they operate that way, but it's kind of like a double standard, right? They might buy stuff back. I mean, everybody will buy stuff back at around melt. They'll say that, oh, it's valued nothing to them, but then you'll find some stores such as Amex. I'm just going to use them as an example because we recently made a purchase off of them this past week, which also didn't go as planned. But, you know, stores like Amex will advertise that, hey, you got a nice Engelhard, or you've got a nice Johnson Matthey Liberty Trade silver bar available. You know, they're marketing it that way. They're saying, hey, this is an Engelhard, and because it's an Engelhard, you're gonna have to pay such and such premium, 50% premium over spot or whatever. And sometimes, you know, that 50% premium over spot, it's not a bad deal because you might not be able to find that piece anywhere else. Or if you do, you might be able to find it, but it might be 200% above spot by the other person that's selling it. So sometimes you'll find that stores like bigger stores like Amex or Money Metals or any of these stores might have competitive prices, but you also have to think about, and this is another thing I've been thinking about this week because I made another purchase from Amex and they again misrepresented what was on the listing. The first time I reached out, as you recall, their in-stocks were off by over 30 ounces on these Johnson Matthey Liberty rounds that I was trying to purchase. Now this right here is a Johnson Matthey Liberty round in the original assay. So if you look back here, you'll see a JM logo right there. So this right here is a very nice example, and you see it says right there JM. This is a very nice example of a 1985 Liberty round produced by JM in the original assay. Now, when I bought some Liberty rounds off of Amex, they advertise them as JM. Of course, I would not expect, nor did they provide me with them in the original packaging, but they weren't advertised that way, so I wasn't expecting that. What I was expecting was the number of Johnson Matthey rounds that I had purchased, which was over 40 of them, and which they had advertised as having in stock for weeks and weeks, because I had been watching that listing for weeks and nobody was really touching them. So I thought, you know, I'm going to buy these all, you know. So I bought them all, and what do you know? They said, oh, we only have 9 of these in stock, not the 50 that you had ordered. I don't know how their in-stocks can be off so much, but, you know, I'm not saying I gave them the benefit of the doubt, but I basically, after that point, assumed that, you know, never expect their on hands to be accurate or even close to accurate. So anyways, I took my 9 rounds. Because of that, I ended up having to pay sales tax because that brought my order down to way below you know, the $2,000 requirement here in California. And so I ended up paying an arm and a leg for just a few of these Liberty rounds. And then guess what happened? A week later, I find that these same rounds up on eBay, they've relisted them for, I don't know, like $10 more per round. Literally, yeah, close to $10 more per round. I had no choice but to purchase them again. I purchased them again for a higher premium. Probably shouldn't have done that because I fell into their antics. I fell into their bait and switch. They misrepresented that they had them on hand, and then all of a sudden, whoa, we found all these rounds. They're back in stock now, and they're all of a sudden $10 more expensive, even though spot price has not gone up $10. So anyways, I bought them all for a higher premium from the same people, and then guess what? Later that week, I find that they have a Johnson Matthey 10-ounce Liberty bar available, and I'm like, should I roll the dice here again with these shady characters? Should I do it a third time? Should I give them another chance? And so I thought to myself, you know, let me give them another chance. So they advertised the Johnson Matthey 10-ounce Liberty Trade silver bar. Now, if you're a collector of these bars, you would know, many of you, some of you may know this. Now, when it comes down to the 10-ounce Liberty Trade bars, there's quite a few of them. Okay, now if somebody is advertising to me that, hey, I'm going to give you a Johnson Matthey bar, I would expect that I would get a Johnson Matthey bar. Would you not? You know, if somebody's saying, hey, I'm going to give you this Engelhard bar, and then they give you an Amex bar, will you be satisfied with that because, you know, it's just the bullion value? Well, you know, that's how Amex operates apparently. It's a double standard, by the way, because they sell things at a premium because of the collectability. Yet they say that we only sell things based off of melt value. And I'll give you an exact example of that, but let me tell you what this is in response to. I had purchased that 10-ounce Johnson Matthey bar. Now, Johnson Matthey bars, if you're not aware, actually, there are a couple different types of Johnson Matthey Liberty Trade bars when it comes down to the 10-ounce variety. Okay, so now, if you look at this bar right here, you'll notice these both say Johnson Matthey on the back. These are both 10-ounce bars. They both say Johnson Matthey. Okay, one of these has a 1982 date stamp right here, and the other one is dateless. This thicker, chunkier one is dateless. You see, so there's two different variations of the 10-ounce bar, and this is the rarer one. Okay, now when Amex is saying, hey, we have a 10-ounce Liberty Trade silver bar produced by Johnson Matthey available for sale, I expect that I'm probably going to get this one because this is the more common of the two, but I expect to get one of these two bars because that's exactly what was advertised. Okay, by name, by brand. Okay, if I order a Diet Coke, I expect to get a Diet Coke, not an RC Cola, not a Shasta Light, not a Pepsi, certainly not a Diet Pepsi. I want a Diet Coke if I'm ordering a Diet Coke. Okay, what did I get provided with? When I opened up my package from Amex, oh boy was I excited because I saw a thick boy. And I was like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, I'm so excited. I got the rare version of the JM bar. So I started celebrating before I flipped over the bar, and then as soon as I flipped over the bar, oh, my heart broke. My heart broke because this bar right here is actually produced by Metal Arts, and so this is the bar I was provided with by Amex that was advertised as a Johnson Matthey. It clearly denotes an MA mark there on the back, and this right here, folks, is a Metal Arts bar. It has nothing to do with Johnson Matthey. This is a Manfred Tordello and Brooks bar, MTB bar, produced by Metal Arts. And so this was advertised as a Johnson Matthey bar, but it was a Metal Arts bar. And so that's not what I wanted. I already had a Metal Arts 10-ounce bar. I was looking for another duplicate of a Johnson Matthey bar, which is what was advertised. And so a third time in a row, Amex did not deliver. Amex did disappoint. And so I'm really just now on guard. When it comes down to Amex, I'm going to be treating them as if whatever I buy from them, I should just expect that I might get something at melt value and they might bait and switch me, because I am consistently being baited and switched by Amex, and Amex is not the only one. My local coin shop, if you recall, quite a while back, one of my earliest videos, and this is why I don't like local coin shops so much, because I had a very bad experience with a local coin shop here in the area, and so I placed an order from them, a whole monster box of prospector rounds is what was advertised on their website. I ordered the box. They informed me that they have their the prospector, the rounds that I had ordered were in their storage facility, and they will be shipping them directly from there via registered mail. I got the shipment, opened up the box. I in fact did the unboxing here on YouTube, and came to find out that they had shipped me an entire monster box of generic buffalo rounds, not the prospector rounds I ordered. And I tried to call back to return or make things right, and they basically said that this is good delivery. They basically told me it's good delivery, there's nothing I can do. They said if I want to, I can send them back and they can buy them back at market value. And I was just, my mind was blown. I couldn't believe what had happened. They literally bait and switched me. They advertised a bunch of prospect rounds, sent me a monster box of buffaloes, and I couldn't do anything about it. And Amex kind of tends to do the same sort of thing. They said that they had 40 plus Johnson Matthey Liberty rounds in stock, and yet we got less than 10. Okay, and then all of a sudden they pulled some shady stuff where they relisted them for $10 more, and they only had them up on eBay, on their eBay store, rather than having them up on the website, which is where they generally sell things for cheaper. So that was ridiculous in my view. And then on top of that, to just add icing on top of the cake, they again falsely represented the bar that they were going to sell. And after I reached out to them, because I already knew that they're going to give me some sort of a runaround, but it's exactly what I expected. They said, hey, thank you for contacting Amex. Please be advised that bars are minted, bought, and sold for the metal content and not for their condition. And it is common for the design to vary, even bars from the same mint. There you go. These bars are not from the same mint. That's exactly my point. They're advertising this as a Johnson Matthey bar. It's a metal arts bar. Okay, and so I basically just responded to this. They said that we will not pay less even if there are scratches, dings, or tarnishing to the bars and rounds, as these conditions do not affect the intrinsic value of the blend. They're missing my entire point. I reached out to them telling them, hey, I bought a Johnson Matthey bar. This is not a Johnson Matthey bar. What can you do for me here? And they're saying it's common for the design to vary, even the bars from the same mint. So they just don't understand. They're sitting here with a double standard, in my view, because they're selling things at a premium, yet they're falling back on the idea that, like, oh, we just sell things for their metal content. No, you don't. Not if you're selling things at a 50% premium or 100% premium. $42 an ounce for a 10-ounce bar. That's not what you're selling all your 10-ounce bars for, is all I got to say at Max. So to me, this sort of baiting and switching, it's almost like a legal bait and switch, I guess you could say. It's some sort of like a scam loophole that they fall back on because there's no returns. But all I can tell you is that when you're purchasing from certain stores, you got to be very careful, because sometimes you're not going to get what's advertised. Read the fine print. On the SBS store, if you go onto the SBS store, some things we've got duplicates of, some things are one-offs. And if you go and read the description, it'll be very, very abundantly clear to you, hey, the condition may vary. Hey, this might not be the exact item that you're going to get that's pictured. Hey, this is going to be the exact item that you're going to get pictured, because it's one of the only ones that we've got in stock. Whatever the case may be, whenever you get your package, I can rest assured, since we double check things, we videotape everything that we pack just to ensure accuracy, I can guarantee you that you're going to get what you expect. And if not, oh boy, am I going to make it right, because I would be able to tell for sure. I would be able to go back, do the quality control, and figure out what went wrong and why it went wrong, and I would be able to make things right. But I rarely have to make things right, because I always double check my work and I make sure that you're going to get what was advertised. And so I think it's very important. I think people, are starting to, I've got some customers who just, I had one customer who told me this week that, I just come back to you because you are willing to answer my questions, and you're not high pressure. You're not like trying to push things in my face. You're trying to sell things to me. You're not rushing me. You understand that my priorities are my bills and my liabilities before my metals stacking. And so I appreciate that about you. And so I think it's good sometimes to have a dealer where, they kind of understand your needs. And even if you have to pay a little bit more of a premium, sometimes the added convenience of not having to return stuff or not having to be disappointed is totally worth it. And so that's all I got to say, man. Have a wonderful day. Also, I'm going to put up my Liberty rounds on special. Look how many we've got. So, you've got, there's 3 different kinds of Liberty rounds, by the way. Let's go over those. There's the 1985 Liberty round. Now, this one right here is produced by Engelhard. You see, it's got an E right there on the bottom left. So this is a 1985 Liberty round. These things are 10,000 minted according to allengelhard.com. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to let these go for $55 a piece if anybody's interested in picking one of these bad boys up. There's also the Johnson Matthey round. Now I've got these loose in a tube as well, so you can grab yourself a loose Johnson Matthey 1985 dated round. Notice these are both 1985 dated, right? But this one right here is an Engelhard with that E, and this one right here is a Johnson Matthey. Okay, so this one I'm going to be letting go for $65 each. 55, 65, and then finally we've actually got a lower mintage. This one is actually a 1986 Centennial round. Okay, 1986 rather. And this is also an Engelhard. You see the E here. This one's got an E with the box in it. This one just has a bare E, and this one's got an E with the box in it. So this one right here is actually a 5,000 minted round right here. So this is twice as rare as the 1985 dated. And so this one I'll let go for $75 each. Now, if you're interested in just grabbing the whole set, you can grab 3 loose rounds there, all 3 of them for $175. You know, if you were to buy all 3 of them separately, it would be $195. So if you want to just add one of these to your collection, feel free to do so. Otherwise, you can grab the whole set for $175. I'm going to put that on as a special for this week because I have an inkling that people might be more interested in the collectibles. You know, Savage Stack was talking about how when price kind of goes up, maybe people kind of switch over to collectibles, and I think that that's true, right? I put an amazing special actually last week on legal tender coins. I put them on for $30 an ounce, free ship, you know, $30 an ounce out the door. So I was very surprised to know that we didn't sell a single unit of this, yet we sold literally thousands of dollars worth of vintage. So people were eating up the vintage this week for sure, but we couldn't even give away basically the legal tender coins. So I just found that to be very interesting. I think I'm going to keep the legal tender coins on special here for $30 an ounce. Or I guess I would call it the premium junk, but most of it is just legal tender, honestly. That's going to stay at $30 an ounce for the week for those who want to stay with the savvy stacking. And for those who want to splurge, we've got the Liberty Round special as well. And so I think we've got a couple healthy options for the people who want to maybe be picking some stuff up to add to their stack. So if you're interested, feel free to hop on the website and take a look and see what we got. Cheers.